mean, you've had people come up to you in cosplay. You've had people tell you how much Mass Effect helped them for, 14 years now. How do you sense that return to that world with the Legendary Edition coming out? Did you notice like it kick up again? You guys start getting tagged more, people reaching out more. How did it feel?
Well, it's not like it ever went away. That's the thing. Like Mass Effect fans are, as I mentioned, they kept this alive. So I was, there's been a constant sort of feedback from Mass Effect fans and people sending me fan art or getting tagged and things. But yeah, I did notice that it sort of got kicked up to another level around May of this year and a little before that, really, as people were in eager anticipation for the release. But it's, as I say, it never actually went away. It's not like there was like, oh, there was just nothing and now suddenly there's an abundance. It's just like there was a lot and now there's even more.
Yeah, that is one thing. Like this fandom doesn't fade. It's evergreen. It's crazy. Like I'm blown away. I won't compare it to other massive fandoms, but I do in my head sometimes. I think it has such staying power, and it connected to people. And I always take it back to the team. I take it back to the human beings that we know in Edmonton and also in Austin who put this together, who make this happen, and who invest and take these risks. And they're not doing it to have an uber successful game. That was never the vibe I got. They were doing it to tell an incredible story in an incredible new way and to be daring and do something they would love. And it just it's so enduring.
I get tagged in like just photos that people have taken in the game all the time. And I'm always just like, oh my God, that looks amazing. That's, great just art. Like it's sort of little subsets say on Instagram, which is like in-game video game photo art.
I feel like this is time to ask. I've taken a bunch of which Mass Effect character are you based on your astrological sign? And I'm an Aries, so I always get Shepard. But I'm curious, what aspect of Shepard do you feel like you have in you as a person? Or do you feel like there's another character in this universe that you're more like, I voice Shepard, but I'm a lot more like this. I'm a little more Liara.
I mean, of course I would like to think that I'm like Shepard, but I think I'm more of a Niftu Cal, let's face it.
I don't know. I'm the kind of dork who's wanted to save the world since I was 4. So to get to play a character and pretend that I save the universe is like a silly, fix for me. It's awesome fun, and to tell people what to do. It's just something I gravitate to anyway in my real life. I'm a bossy person.
That's why I get it, I think. You guys mentioned the space and time between Mass Effect 3 and the Citadel DLC. And we were just talking about this, me and Heather, my coworker, who's also a big fan. And we were saying how the Citadel is like our favorite bit of DLC across any game ever, because it feels like this kind of high school reunion, but better and more fun. And when you guys came back, did you guys come back separately to do that? And if so, did it feel like that for you guys as well? This kind of, hey, the gang's all here again.
It felt like a love letter to the fans for me. It's what it felt like. Yeah.
Yeah. From our perspective, we'd sort of, we'd done like the bulk of the work on Mass Effect 3, and then we started doing some work on Citadel DLC, and then Mass Effect 3 came out, and that was what we knew we had left to do. We had the various bits of DLC. So for me personally, it was essentially the last thing we did. This is the capstone to the entire trilogy, to these years of working with all these people. So I really have to give credit to Kathleen Rootsart, one of the writers at BioWare. She was one of the ones who championed, we got to have the big party on the Citadel. We got to get all these folks back together. And that gave you the opportunity to see characters, NPCs interact that had never interacted before. You got to have Rex and Grunt in the same room, and Zaid is here as well. And they get to see the conversation between them. And beyond the party, there were all like let's face it, fan service. There was lots of fan service in Citadel and lots of in-jokes, and it was just so celebratory, and that's what made it really special.
And that see to me, that also goes back to the nature of the company making this, like of the heart of BioWare. It's just so beautiful. It's so responsive, and it's so open-minded and open-hearted and inclusive and connected, and it's really about what it's about. It's about the game and the material, and it's not about anything else, and it's incredible.
I think we can definitely all agree on that for sure. I know that you guys have had a lot of fun line reads and people ask you to say, I should go a bunch of times or all of those things.
What?
And
No, never.
never. But do you have like a favorite scene that you remember doing? Because I know it's completely different for you a lot of the times. I believe you mentioned that in one, you only got a little bit of Keith David's voiceover work to like kind of bounce off of. Do you have something that you remember going, either this is so much fun or I can't wait to see how this looks?
You first, Mark. You first.
Well, you mentioned Keith David. Of course, by the third game, in Anderson's final scene, both Jennifer and I did have Keith David's full performance in our headsets. So we got to do that scene in its entirety with Keith's performance. And so that one is always a standout for me. That one I always remember. And of course, there are lots of scenes where you didn't really have a cinematic. Like occasionally they would give us like a very primitive animatic just to show spatial relationships and like Shepard is this blue rectangle and these guys are the red rectangles. So getting to see those fully realized was always a real thrill, and especially in Legendary Edition, let's face it, because the visuals have been kicked up several matches.
It's amazing. And for me, I remember when we were recording the Garrus LC with the bar stuff, it was so well written that I got to one. I've told this story, but I love this story. I'd gotten to one particular line, and the way we recorded is I was in LA and Caroline Livingstone was directing out of Edmonton via Skype. And we'd finish a take and she would say, okay, all right, we'll go with A. I'd hear her talk to the engineer about what we were going to do, and then we'd move on. And I did the dialogue with Garrus, and I couldn't say the line because it was so well written. I was about to burst into tears. I was like, Shepard does not cry. Come on, whack, shake it off. Give me a second, And I came back and I said what I needed to say. And instead of hearing Caroline go, okay, and I was dead silence. And I'm like, did we lose her? Did we lose the line? Caroline? Yep. Just a sec. I choked her up. I was like, yes, she knows the material and we did that. Yes, that's so cool. It was really a fun moment.
No matter what happens here, you know I love you. I always will.